Returning to our top story, the President of Iran and Foreign Minister have died in a helicopter crash. The question is what this might mean for the country and the region. Joining me now is Emeritus Professor Amin, who's Professor of Middle East and Central Asian and Islamic Studies at ANU. Thanks for your time. Look, all the evidence basically looks almost certain that they are dead. What's the reaction so far from the country that tells you about, I suppose, his legacy?
Well, I think the Supreme Leader has already announced that the running of the country would be usual as business. So therefore, he's basically trying to calm down in the public, and there's not going to be any serious instability. His legacy is going to be primarily based on what he has done. He has been a hardliner, and he has made sure that the Islamic system is preserved and strengthened, just as the Supreme Leader has wanted. In fact, he and Raisi and the Supreme Leader have been speaking from the same page. But at the same time, his departure, along with the foreign minister, is going to create a hole in the Iranian leadership.
Right.
And that will also require an election within the 50 days.
And yet there's a sense that the Supreme Leader, given the President was seen as the next likely Supreme Leader, there'll be someone else, what's the best word, installed, put in a place where he's going to win the election to make sure the succession plan around at least ideology doesn't change?
Well, Raisi was touted as a possible successor to the Supreme Leader, but at the same time, also the Supreme Leader's son, Mujtaba, has been touted in the same way. And there was likely to be a contest between the two. And now there have been a speculation, but I think it's totally false and baseless, that somebody like Mujtaba may have been behind what has really happened. But then again, there have also been a speculation that Mossad may have been behind it, because Israel and Mossad have got a very strong presence in Azerbaijan, and there have been historical differences between Azerbaijan and Iran.
Are there any murmurings about that? Because the first reports as well was that there's some pretty inclement weather around. Yeah. And obviously helicopter travel, if it's a big jet, you're sort of like, well, what went wrong? But helicopter travel is a bit riskier. Yeah. What other how legitimate or credible do you think the chatter is around something happening? I mean, you can see, can't you, the conditions here and what the sky and so on looks like. I
think that is very credible. And I think the speculation which has been going on about Israel and for Mujtaba's hand in the whole thing, I think there is no evidence that one can be that can be backed.
Yeah, as you see, cloudy, pretty heavy rain here, really difficult conditions. So there's logic at least, albeit we don't know. We'll wait. We might never find out truly. Women's rights clearly went backwards in the country. He was known for the strengthening or ramping up the morality police, if you like, and the crushing of protests that follows. How many people in the country were thinking this is a time for more protests, or are they too, intimidated by what happened previously when that was attempted?
I mean, there are many people, or many Iranians who have wanted or called for regime change, but of course, regime is grounded very strongly. It's very doubtful that would be able or would be overthrown, so that quickly. But the election to elect somebody in place of Raisi, then that opens the way for the different factions jogging for power. And but of course, all the candidates for the presidency will be vetted by the Guardian Council,
which previously they've just excluded other candidates. So just important for our viewers to know this isn't some, totally free and open election where the people's choice gets in and suddenly everything changes. That won't happen, will it?
No, well, I think the likelihood is that somebody very similar to Raisi might be elected.
And that means on the whole situation with regional instability in Israel, no real change you see out of this?
I don't expect any substantial change in Iranian domestic politics or, for that matter, foreign policy. I think they are set very much in stone, and I think the system will continue.
Amin, Saikal, appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure.